this swatch and chat. So, Ferris Wheel Press last week, this week. Oh, it's not out till the 6th. Ferris Wheel Press has just released a new waterproof ink that will shortly be available to the public. And for now, though, I have my bottle that I got through Jubilee. And so I want to test it out because I think it's going to be very waterproof from the swatches I've seen from friends. It was far more waterproof than I thought it was going to be. I didn't think it was going to be. I thought it was going to be pretty waterproof, but like not as waterproof as it's actually been seemingly in swatches. So I have the new Ferris Wheel Press one. It's also sparkly. Not that you can really see it on camera. And then I have my two standard waterproof inks. And I've got a bunch of papers. I've literally pulled every paper I can think of. I have two fountain pen papers, and then I have two watercolor papers. Because we're going to test this out. It is interesting, though. I don't seem to have a sticker to the bottom of it. Sometimes they get stuck to the box. Oh, yes, I do. I find especially when it's cold, my stickers pop off and get stuck to the packaging. So there's my Twilight Symphony sticker. And I'll just glue it on. But I'm excited to see just how waterproof it is. So to start with, I'm thinking I've also got a whole bunch of the Sailor dip pens that I rarely use, but I do like. I just don't use them all that often for whatever reason. I don't know what paper to start on. My brain is saying Tomoe. I don't really want to use Tomoe because I don't use it all that often. I sort of want to put it through its paces on cotton paper first, because this is what I tend to use waterproof inks on most often, is paper like this. So I need 3 pipettes. Because what we're going to do is we're going to put a couple drops of each. We're going to spread them out. We're going to have some fun. We're going to see just how waterproof these all are. So I guess we'll start from the top with my trusty friends. I do always shake my waterproof inks. I find that it gives you a better swatch. They tend to separate more than other inks, I find. Because the particles are a little bit heavier. Sure. This paper's going to be too textured. Oh, there it is. Guess we'll do a page for each ink, because that seems to be how this is going. Hello. Welcome to today's play, because I want to try this new Ferris Wheel Press waterproof ink quite badly. It seems to have swatched out quite nicely. I can never remember which or which. It's medium. Sure, let's write with the medium first. And then let's do, I'll say this is the broad. Nope, that's the stub. I guess we can do the stub. Stub or Fude? Let's do Fude. So Fude's gonna put down more ink. Well, I do have the reservoir for all of these. I'm not using any with the reservoir. I love the certified document inks. In my opinion, they are the most underrated inks in the fountain pen world. They work so well for watercolor and stuff, and they're just so much fun. All right, so I know from personal experience that this ink takes about 10 minutes to dry fully on 100% cotton paper. You can see this one's already dry. The ones I put down more ink, we're still in the process of drying, which is fine. That happens. So we're going to do a swatch card with Octopus, and then we're going to do a swatch card with Ferris Wheel Press. And I'm just going to do sort of a card of each. Yes, I should show. So 10 minutes to dry enough that I can use watercolor over them. This is 100% cotton paper. And so if I'm doing line and wash, that's fine. So I guess we'll take this middle one. And I just want to see how, like, you'll see that, like, the edges are going to get fuzzy. I'll just set that up there. Especially with 100% cotton paper, I find that it takes a while for the ink to soak all the way in. We will test, though, on normal fountain pen paper. I just use waterproof inks mostly on watercolor paper, and so that's what I want to try these on first. This is the certified document violet. Oh, look, I already got ink on my hands. So this is going to dry much more quickly. It's much less ink. And then we'll dip again with our two brushes. Need to ink this up again. I cleaned it out of a pen for Christmas because I wasn't using waterproof inks all that much around the holidays. But I do utterly adore it. It's such a lovely, lovely purple. And then we will drop some water on this middle one and see how much it moves. It tends to move less. I just don't like their black as much. And then the new Ferris Wheel Press one, which I do really like. I'm interested, though, to see how it holds up to water. I saw a couple people that have used it on, like, full pages, but they didn't post their dry times. So I'm just going to see what happens. This is also the first waterproof ink I know of that's sparkly. I'm sure there are others out there, but I've just never owned one or seen one before. You don't want to blow a bubble. There we go. I don't know why that's become a thing this time, but it has. And we did it on one, so we must continue it on all of them. Because that's sort of how this thing goes. What I am finding is I'm not really seeing the sparkle, though it is leaving a lot more of my brush than I thought it would. I'm just not seeing the sparkle. So so far though, I do like the color. I'm not a huge fan of blue purples. I normally lean more towards the red purples. I find that lots of people don't pull off the blue purples well. There is something though about this blue purple that I do really like. I am vibing with it. I like it. I'm sure at some point I will put it in a pen, maybe this month. Or I guess February, because we are, you know, a day away. I do love a dip pen for swatching. It's probably the only time I use them. All right. Well, you can sort of see the sparkle in that middle swatch. It's not as prominent as the Ferris Wheel Press Fairy Tales, but it is there. I do want to throw the little lid on this just so that I don't knock it over. And then we're going to throw some water on top and just see what moves I landed this to perfectly. So far though, nothing much is moving. All right. Tomoe River or Endless Regalia? I have both. My thought is Tomoe, because that's what a lot of people use, even though I'm partial to Endless. I know a lot of people really like Tomoe. So, I guess let's try that. I have to say, so far I'm impressed. It's not moving much. There really isn't much movement at all from that swatch. Let's grab a sheet of this. And just see what it writes like. Because I already know how waterproof these are on Tomoe Fairy, I'm not going to test them. This is just going to be a test of the Ferris Wheel Press, and I'm just going to use, I think, the Sailor Medium. Mostly because I'm not vibing with the stub. And I did take out the gray feeds to make them slightly easier to clean. So I'm going to give that, it's 316 now. K-L-N-O PQRSTUVWXYZ. It is 317. So I was gonna already go over the top section, except the top section's still wet. So it's definitely longer than a minute dry time because we are still wet. Is that first one dry? I think it probably is. Wow. That's not moving anywhere. That hasn't been down on the paper very long. So I will say that it's... Do I have an MD that's got stuff on it? Sometimes I've got a swatch card that like just doesn't make the cut for whatever reason. I don't. Do I want to waste one on this? Not really. It's not moving. All right, let's test up here. I have a feeling oh, that's moving a little bit. So if it's not totally dry, it does move. That being said, the individual lines, it has a much faster dry time than I expected. Like it's already set solid on this. I'm probably gonna have to clean this with pen flush because that is really the only thing that gets rid of waterproof ink is pen flush. Oh. Odd. So it's waterproof on the page, but it is just wiping off this metal nib like nothing was ever there. That doesn't happen normally. I have to work really hard to clean a pen after these two have been in it. I have to use pen flush. I have to take a whole lot of time. This just wiped away. Like you can see, here's the one that had Sailor in it first. And I've still got Sailor black ink down in here. Like I'm gonna have to take pen flush to this once this is done on a Q-tip and like work it down in there and tidy it all up. But that just wiped clean off the nib, yet on paper it is water. I want to call it like that's barely moving. It's moving a little bit at the end, which tells me it wasn't fully dry. So it's 321. Where's this at? Okay. Here's my conclusion. When I write about gel pens and other pens for Gold Spot, we frequently talk about waterproof versus water resistant. Water resistant inks, the ink is still going to move around, but you are still going to be able to read what you read. So I should be able to pick up the majority. And when it dries, like there'll be a shadow of some sort, but you'll still be able to read what you read. They're marketing this as everlasting fountain pen ink. I can't test that it lasts forever because I have no way of knowing if it is, you know, UV resistant and all that stuff. Is it fraud resistant, which is what we talk about in the gel pen world? Is it check forging resistant? These are all things I've had to learn about for writing about gel pens. But I would definitely say this is water resistant. Now, these swatches have had a little bit longer to set, and so let's take a peek at them. As you can see, we did have some movement. Not unexpected. I would say I expected that because all of these will move a little bit. Here, let's tilt this one so you can see the black runoff as well. Sure, do exactly what I don't want you to do. All right, and so let's grab some paper towel. Let's pick up all these colors. All right. I would say most of our blue is still there. How'd the pink, or I guess other purple, hold up? Lighter, but like still a good amount there. I wouldn't be upset. And let's check this one. Yeah, as I expected. This one definitely always takes longer to dry, and you can definitely tell. I will do a watercolor test. I probably won't today, mostly because all my paints are away. But I will at some point do a watercolor video using this because I am really interested to try it out. I need to figure out what pen it's going into. They are really specific to make sure you frequently clean your pens. And after trying it, I wonder, I've I have many thoughts. I have many questions that I don't think anyone's going to answer. But it does sort of feel similar to the document inks, except that it's shimmery. The color's a lot richer than the document inks. Like you can see these side by side, like you can see the shimmer in the bottom one, and you can see the shimmer in the splash. I'm interested to put in a pen. Currently I use the black, but when I'm using the black, I always sketch and then I ink and wash. So I sketch, I let it dry. I know that this dries hard after about 10 minutes on cotton paper, and that's fine for me. I'm almost never painting on the go. I'm almost always doing my sketch, taking reference photos, and then coming home to paint. Or if I'm painting at home, I'm happy to do my sketch, leave my page for a couple minutes, go get a cup of tea, and then come back to it. Sometimes I'll use the certified document ink if I just want something not black. Like as you can see, the Sailor's a very charcoaly finish. And this is a very sort of deep Bordeaux. It's called Violet. I find it very purple slash Bordeaux slash dark red. I don't find it in mass tone to be very purple, or I guess very violet. I find it to be more Bordeaux-y, browny red versus the charcoal. So it just depends what I feel like. Really, I only use 2 waterproof inks. And currently, this is the only one I've got inked up. But this is what I always have inked up. Normally, I've got this inked up. So I guess I could put this in the pen that normally has this, which is a Faber-Castell Neo Slim, which I might do. I need to see what nibs on it, because again, this has shimmer in it. And while it does look like a very fine shimmer, it's almost iridescent, I do want it to be in something slightly thicker. I think I'll be running it in a medium. Normally I run my waterproofs in extra fines because my preferred sketching pen is a 0.05. So let me know if there's other things you want to see me test out with this ink, because I have a full bottle of it. And based on how much I like it, I may buy another bottle. I believe it goes on sale officially on the 6th of February. So I've got a couple days to play with it and test things out. If you guys want to see stuff with it before it becomes available generally to the public. I know there's a lot of people in Jubilee currently testing it out on Instagram, because I think we were all a bit shocked that they were now offering a waterproof, water resistant, whatever you want to call it, ink. I am going with it is a water resistant ink. I don't think it's fully waterproof. I might be wrong and it's fully waterproof on certain papers, but at least on this and on Tomoe River, I did have ink movement. And while that isn't the end of the world, I know for some people that is really going to bug them. But if the difference is like something like this versus losing all your notes, I'd rather deal with something like this. I do also like the expansion in water resistant colors. I feel like they've been really limited for a long time, and so I'm interested to see if they come out with more colors. I thought them starting with a purple was really interesting, but I am really enjoying it. So it's probably I want to say drop a pen. It's probably going to go in a pen this week coming up, because I guess it's already Friday. And I need to figure out what pen it's going to go into. I just keep dropping the same. I just keep dropping the same Stedler pen over and over and over again. I have not tried Diamine Forever inks yet. They seem to be getting mixed reviews. I've thought about trying them, and there's just a big financial commitment if I'm going to buy multiples. I don't have a full-time job because of the brain injury I have, and the money I make on YouTube gets looped back into supplies for the channel. So at some point I might invest in a couple, but for now, I don't actually use that big of a color selection. Like, I've been through, this is my second bottle of the Sailor Black. I have a third in my spare ink bottles because this is quite hard to get on occasion in Canada. And other than that, I don't actually use waterproof inks all that often, like color-wise. If I'm going to go for a different color, I'd probably just use a different color fine liner versus inking up a whole new waterproof pen. So I'm interested to play around with this more, because what I'm really surprised at is, like, look how cleanly it picked up off the page. Like, in picking this up, like the dyes that came off satin, there was still dye that came off of this. There was not a small amount of dye that moved with the water, but what it didn't do was it didn't stain the page, unlike these two, which I find really interesting. So I'm interested to play around with it some more. I think it's probably going to go into a pen this week because it is pretty. It's sparkly. It's a nice color. I wonder how. I don't know what you came from. You're black. I'm just going to ignore that spot of black. These now staying put. They are. Okay, so that's probably had 15 minutes, I'd say, ish, to dry. How's this? Neither of those are moving anywhere. So I'm impressed. I'm more impressed than I thought I'd be. And I think it's going in a pen. Now to make the decision which pen. I think I'm going to have to clean pens next week. And then maybe I'll re-ink some stuff. It's too dreary for all the dreary colors of pens I've currently got inked up. I had all these muted colors inked in December. But we are snowed in, and it's cold, and it's gray. And I need some bright, fun colors in pens, and some more fun pens inked. So I think next week I'm going to flip over pens. I'm impressed, though. Like, that is not going anywhere. Well, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for joining me. And let me know in the comments down below what you want to see me do with this ink, because I have a bottle of it. I have 7 days until it's released. It's released a week today on January 6th, and I'd love to play around with it some more. So let me know what you want to see, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.